Eric LeGrand is a former Rutgers University football player who incurred a severe spinal cord injury while making a tackle in an October 2010 football game against Army. Yet Eric never gave up. He went on to earn his bachelor's degree in labor relations and actually delivered the commencement address at his own Rutgers graduation exercises in May of 2014. Although paralyzed from the neck down, Eric LeGrand has proved that obstacles can be transformed into opportunities. In 2013, Eric founded Team LeGrand to help individuals with spinal cord injuries and their families. And since its inception, Team LeGrand has raised over $1 million for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. Before we hear from Eric, let's watch a 5-minute video that chronicles his courageous efforts to overcome adversity.
When so much is taken, what remains? With so much gone, what continues? When strength vanishes and body fails, what part persists? Perhaps it's the deepest part, the part that believes.
Belief means to me that I can basically do anything that I want to do if I put my mind to it and work hard at it.
From the time he stepped on a football field in Avenel, New Jersey in Pee-wees, Eric LeGrand made people believe. At Colonia High School, he grew into a two-way player, 4-year starter, and full-time force. His senior year, he had 115 tackles and scored 12 touchdowns. It was then LeGrand developed a ritual, one he shared in the summer of 2010, a ritual involving a word that would become his second signature.
I used to always hit the EL because Eric LeGrand, for the initials for and believe, used to always tap that.
A second-team All-State linebacker, LeGrand chose to stay home and play for Rutgers. With his size and strength, coaches moved him to nose guard. In 2008, his freshman year, he played immediately.
I just can't get away from Eric LeGrand, who drags him down at the 20-yard line and then a sack for LeGrand.
The staff also saw another role.
I played special teams all year, kickoff and kickoff return, where I basically found my home at.
He was on our kickoff team. He was our leading player on our kickoff team. So that tells you a little bit about a 275-pound man who was your go-to guy on our kickoff team.
We're here at the Meadowlands, the new Giant Stadium. We're out here ready to go, being focused. We're going to keep on chopping all day.
Eric LeGrand, 6'2", 275-pound junior from Avenel, New Jersey.
The weather was perfect for football. There was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're running down on the field and going out there to make a tackle in a big game, just like I've done hundreds of times before.
Oh, great open field hit by Eric LeGrand, who was shaken up with a blow.
It felt like a flash grenade went off. Everything went silent in slow motion for a minute, and then all of a sudden I was on the ground. And I tried to get up and I couldn't move. And I was sitting there like, what's going on? I can't breathe right now. And then I just blacked out. And they explained the whole thing. You fractured your C3, C4 vertebrae, and you were paralyzed. So now I'll never be able to come off the ventilator, never be able to eat solid foods, never be able to walk again. They told me I'll never be able to live a normal life.
I believe if we put the funding to it, you'll get these people, including me, out of these wheelchairs, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, to raise awareness and try to raise money through Team LeGrand of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, so I can live my dream of going back to MetLife Stadium and getting back up and walk and run or whatever I can off that field.
We talked to Eric LeGrand, former Rutgers player who unfortunately was paralyzed in 2010 trying to make a tackle on a game against Army. What have doctors told you about your ability or your efforts to try to walk again?
You know, things have come back for me. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm still working hard to get there. Let's try to get back on my feet now and leave everything else in God's hands.
That day can't come soon enough.
Eric LeGrand is on a mission to create a new life for himself. Faced with obstacles most would deem insurmountable, his notion of winning and losing has truly taken on a different meaning. But where others might see despair, he sees hope.
I really believe that this happened for a reason. I'm supposed to do great things with this situation.
Inspiring others everywhere and fighting for a future he can see just over the horizon.
And when I'm done with my time, it's over to inspire everybody. I believe I will walk again. And when I do rise from this chair, I'm going to go back out to the field right where I got hurt. I'm going to lay right back in that position and get up and walk off that field and say, I finished that play.
Let's give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Eric LeGrand.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for that introduction. It's truly amazing just to see the support. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my life because we all come from different walks of life, different journeys in our life, different pathways that ultimately lead us all together. And I want to talk a little bit about my story, my journey, and how I got to where I am today, and the reason why I live my life the way that I do, and the newfound appreciation of life that I have now, after some of the things that I've been through and some of the things that I have seen over the past 9 years now after my accident. But it was actually, today is Wednesday, so a week ago, today was 9 years since my accident, and honestly, my life has been nothing but blessings over these past 9 years because of the places I've gotten to go, the people I've gotten to meet, and the opportunities that have come up. Honestly, I'm blessed every single day. But I want to take you back to that time, October 16, 2010. But before that, a lot of people think that my story started that day on October 16, 2010, but it started a long time before that. I want to bring you back to when I was 10 years old, telling you a little funny story when there were some core values in my life that I live by now that I was taught at a young age. And I remember playing popcorn or football like you saw in that video when I was 10 years old. And I'm not gonna lie, I was the best player on the team, so one day I was feeling myself and I said when I got home from school, I'm not going to practice today. So did my homework, went to the park, played with my friends, and my mom every day used to come to, after work, come to the park, grab me, and we would go home, get dressed, and go to practice. Well, that particular day, my mom came into the park and said, Eric, stop going to practice, let's go. And I remember yelling to her, Mom, I go to practice today. And she looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, I'm showing up on game day, I'll be all right, I don't need to practice. Let's just say that didn't go over too well for me. My mom grabbed me by my arm in the park, dragged me through the park, embarrassed me in front of all my friends, threw me in the back seat, got in the car, started driving home, said, who do you think you are? I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, you're never bigger than the team. You're never bigger than anybody that's putting in all the hard work, all that effort, whether the team is good or bad. If you commit to something, you see it through. And here I am at 29 years old, still remember that lesson from my mom 19 years ago about commitment. When you commit to something, you see it through, no matter the good through the bad times, because when you go through those processes of going through those times, it's when you truly learn about yourself and about the people that you're helping. When I got to high school, I got offered as a freshman to go play Division I football at Rutgers University. So, of course, again, I'm feeling great about myself and thinking, this is going to set myself up, my family up, where my mom doesn't have to pay for college for me. So I remember each year, when you turn a sophomore, the team picks a water boy, and no matter how good you are, they looked at me and said, oh, you got a Division I offer when I went into my sophomore year. Guess who became the water boy of the team? And this wasn't just no regular fill up, the water bottle at the sink, and you go and put it in, into this little case and go out there. No. There was this little sewer hole that we had to crawl into every single day with this hose that I had to unravel, hook it up to some nasty pipe that is underground, come back up, hook it up to this caution sign, and have the CPC pipes with the holes in it. This is old school, how I would turn on like a hose and turn it on each and every day. And I had to be out there before practice, and when practice was over, while everyone's jumping around and laughing, I had to wait till everybody was done drinking the water and then wrap up everything. So let's just say I was taught humility at a young age. You're never bigger than the team, never bigger than yourself. No matter how good you are, you always have to be humble. And that's what helped me out throughout my whole life, being humble. When I got to college, I got recruited to play one position, and I ended up playing 6 other different positions, and I didn't know where my life was taking me. And I thought I lost the love of the game of football. And at one point, I wanted to quit. After playing from the time I was 5 years old until I got to college when I was 17, 18 years old, I didn't know where my life was going to take me because of all the different obstacles that were being thrown in front of me, as well as trying to time manage with school, social life, and everything that was going on. It just felt like everything was coming down upon me. And I remember at the end of the season, I had a meeting with my coach, and I asked him, my coach, what are you doing? You recruited me from one position, you put me here, you put me there, over there. Like, what's going on? And he looked at me and said, you know why we did that? Because we trusted you to get the job done at each one of those positions when we needed that at need. And I said to myself, you know what? When you love something, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. Sacrifices for the better, sacrifices for other people, sacrifices for a cause. Because at the end of the day, it ultimately is going to better you and other people around you. And that's why I learned sacrifices. And those are the three core values I live my life by. Love is sacrifice, humility, and commitment. October 16, 2010 came, when I was running down the field at MetLife Stadium to make a tackle on kickoff, and we had just tied the game up. It was 17-17 in the fourth quarter, with 5 minutes left in the game. And I'm running down the field to make a tackle, and I said to myself, how do I want to make this tackle? Do I want to use my hand or do I want to use my shoulder? And I had a good 30, 40-yard head start on this guy, and I was going to make a tackle on. And I said, you know what? I'm going to use my shoulder. Let me not use my hand because it's going to be a big collision. I don't know if you saw in that video, but my teammate actually got down there about a half a second before I did. When he got down there, he tripped the guy up, and the guy's body twirled in the air. And every football player knows if you're going to tackle with your head, you have to see what you hit and keep your head up. Well, I put my head down thinking it wasn't going to be an tackle at all. I thought it was going to go on the side of his body, and unfortunately, the crown of my head went right into the back of his shoulder blade, and that's what caused my injury. But I remember hitting the ground and the crowd going, ooh. So I knew it was a big hit. I tried to get up to celebrate with my team, and at the time, all I could do was shake my head to the left and to the right, just like that. From there, the trainers come out there, Eric, is it your head or your neck? And at the time, all I could say was, I can't breathe. Like, can you feel this? Can you feel that? And I said to them again, I can't breathe. From there, they bring my head coach out, Greg Schiano, and he comes and he stands over me, looks down and says, E, you have to pray right now. And honestly, when he said that to me, I thought I was going to die right down that football field because I can't move, I can't breathe. And now my coach was telling me I have to pray. Of course, I'm praying for a gasp of air or anything to happen. Let me just be able to take a deep breath again. But at one point, I got to the point where I just closed my eyes and I said, God, take me at ease. This is it. And as I closed my eyes and nothing happened, I went back to panicking again and I opened them back up. And at this time now, they had brought the cart out and they took the board off of it and they were putting it under me. As they put the board under me and they lifted me up, somehow I caught a gasp of air for a second. So I said, okay, I just knocked the wind out of myself, everything will be all right. As I'm getting carted off, let me give a thumbs up to the crowd and let everyone know I'll be okay. I wanted to give that thumbs up to the crowd and it felt like there was a 1,000-pound cinder block laying on my hand, couldn't move it at all. I get to the end of the end zone and I see my mom and my sister. My mom's hysterical, so I'm trying to calm her down, let her know I'm gonna be fine. I just got a full body stinger and I knocked the wind out of myself, I'll be okay, I'll be all right. They put me into the ambulance and I was thinking ignorant to the fact of what an oxygen mask actually does for you. I'm thinking when I put this mask on, I'll be able to take that deep breath like, and be able to breathe again. And when I went to take that deep breath in and I wasn't able to breathe on my own and push it out, the air, I immediately started to freak out and I blacked out. And I don't remember much until I woke up on Wednesday, only bits and pieces, and this injury happened on Saturday. But I do remember getting to the hospital, looking up and seeing these lights that were just getting as I was getting carted out the hallway. But then I blacked out. I woke up and I was in a room full of a bunch of doctors and nurses, but it sounded like they were speaking a different language. I blacked out. Woke up one more time and I was in that same room by myself with just a bunch of monitors and sounds going off. But then I blacked out. When I finally came to on Wednesday after all the surgery and coming off the medication and things of that nature, I could actually remember. I remember waking up to a room filled with a bunch of jerseys and postcards and helmets, all these people reaching out to me. And everyone coming in there was so positive and uplifting and motivating, and it kind of, inspired me from the beginning. But people always ask me, how did you stay so positive from the beginning? And I said, honestly, the first few days I don't remember, but I feel bad for my family, my friends, and my teammates, what they had to go through. Because immediately, right after I got to the hospital, after they took me and did the CAT scans and MRIs, they put my mom into a room with my teammate and his mom, and they told her exactly what had happened. And they said, your son has fractured the C3, C4 vertebrae. He'll be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life. He'll never walk again. He'll never be able to breathe on his own. He'll never be able to eat solid foods, and we're hoping he's strong enough to make it through the surgery. So imagine, now my mom hearing that news, she's completely devastated. My teammate, I remember busting down the hallway, started running down the hallway screaming just out of anger because of what had happened. And from there, the one doctor left and the other doctor started talking to my mom and giving her all these different percentages of how this could happen or that could happen. We just really don't know. But they said they let me see my mom before I went into surgery. And I kind of remember this, but I kind of don't. And I don't know if the adrenaline was still going from the football game that I had in me, but I saw my mom before I went into surgery. And she said the first 3 words I said to her was, I'll be back. And she said when she heard me say that, it kind of put her at ease and said, if he's already fighting and he hasn't even been through surgery yet, we have to stay positive, we have to fight for him. And whoever sees him from here on out or goes in that room has to have a positive attitude. So when I woke up on Wednesday, everyone was coming in there like, you're gonna be fine, everything's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through this, you're gonna fight through this. And right away I'm like, everything's gonna be great. And then from there, I started to see my family members and friends that are coming to see me that I haven't seen since middle school, high school. And it made me realize that in this world, if you treat people the right way, in your darkest times and the times that need, they will be there for you and help you. I was pretty much laying on my deathbed, and we took over, at the time I was at Hackensack Hospital, we took over the whole visiting room of people coming to see me and wish me well and pray for me, because I was always taught to respect people and treat them right. You never know when you're going to need somebody that to lean on, or you're going to need somebody that may help you get through a dark time and a tough time. You never know. And through that moment, it showed me, wow, I have all the support here. From there, the head coach of the Giants, the New York Giants at the time, was Tom Coughlin. He came by to see me, and then he sent over all the rookies that year to come see me. And then Andy Reid was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess he got word of it, and he came up the turnpike to come visit me. So in my head, I remember I said to myself, I'm like, this is great. All these coaches are coming to see me when I get back out there in that field. I'm about to be a first-round pick. This is great, man. Little did I know I wasn't going to be playing football anymore at the time, but I was hyped. I'm not going to lie. I laid in the hospital bed meeting all these coaches. It was great. Kind of took my mind away from everything as well. About a week and a half later, I realized, when that happened to me, I wasn't going to be playing football. I remember my mom said to me, Eric, let me know when you're ready to have that conversation from what the doctors told me. And we had that conversation from what the doctors told me. And, I wasn't devastated I wasn't going to be playing the game of football no more, but I kind of switched my gear over to, I want to get back to living, a life that, I'm not just going to be laying in this bed. I want to be able to push through that. And that's kind of the mental fortitude I had from playing the game of football, that mental toughness and drive to overcome adversity and dealing with tough situations and not running away from tough situations. From there, remember I had to start getting used to all these people that were at Hackensack. I went from being this big football player, living my dream playing college football, to now having to rely on a bunch of other people. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy for me to trust other people and rely on other people. But the best thing I try to tell people, when you go into certain situations where you have to gain somebody's trust, talk to them as a human being. Talk to them, be gentle with them, talk to them. Let them know that you're not just here to collect a paycheck. No, you're here because you actually genuinely care about them and you genuinely want to help them. It was through the terrors of the night where I actually found my comfort, because at a certain point my mom had to go back to the hotel where she was staying and get some sleep through the night. And I was not sleeping that night because I didn't trust what was going on. I can't move, I can't breathe, I'm laying in this bed. I don't know who these people are. But a few nurses would come into my room every single night and just sit there and have a conversation with me. And it finally put me at ease just by having a conversation. You never know where a conversation may lead you in this world or may help you out, because it sure helped me get through those nights where I was by myself at the hospital for a few hours just so my mom and my family can get some sleep. When I finally got comfortable now, it was 3 weeks, my 3-week stay was up at Kessler, and they moved me over to, my 3-week stay up at Hackensack, and they moved me over to Kessler in West Orange, New Jersey. When I got to Kessler, I remember that day I woke up, it was November 3rd of 2011. I woke up that morning and I knew something wasn't right. I didn't have the energy, I was still out of it, falling asleep in the middle of conversations. And everyone was pumping me up like, E, we gotta get you out of here, we gotta get you over to Kessler so you can start your rehabilitation and get you back up on your feet walking again. So I said, you know what, let's just go through, once I get there, I'm sure I'll feel better. I remember getting to Kessler and they took me off the ventilator at the time. So they took me off the ventilator at the time, and they had somebody squeezing this bag of oxygen into my tracheotomy at the time. And let me tell you, having somebody's life literally in your hands, it was a terrifying moment. I remember I just started getting all anxious and jittery there. When I got to Kessler now, I remember getting carted down the hallway. And I guess they must have heard that the Rutgers football player was coming, because everyone was in the hallway just looking down at me. And I had all these new faces. After I started to gain trust of the people I hadn't said, now I'm leaving after gain trust of these new people. I get into my room, and I guess they decided that they wanted me to meet everybody that day, because they brought down the CEO of the building, the administration team, my nursing team, my physical therapist, my occupational therapist, and the last person that they bring in there was this 5'6", probably 130-pound Jamaican dude, and he looks at me and he said, Eric, I'm going to be taking care of you, Mom. I'm going to be getting you dressed, I'm going to be doing this, getting you showered, and this and that. And I look at him, and I remember I'm being this big football player, and I promise you, I look over to my mom and I said, Mom, you got to get me out of here. There's no way this guy can take care of me. Listen, my mom's like, Eric, stop, you listen to the guy. Little did I know that Humphrey and I were going to become really good friends and teach my mom actually how to take care of a quadriplegic and all these different methods. But I'm not going to lie, I didn't judge a book by its cover. I was like, there's no way that this man is getting me up out of bed and going to be able to get me dressed and take care of me doing this and that. But Humphrey became a really good friend of ours at the time while we were there. But finally, everyone left the room and they let me just start to relax a little bit because they could tell I was very uncomfortable. Rutgers was actually playing that night, and I remember getting all excited because I got to pick out my uniforms for the team, so I started, getting excited to see my teammates playing. They were down in South Florida. So they came on around 7, 8 o'clock on ESPN, and I remember the game was going back and forth, back and forth. The fourth quarter of the game came, and I remember laying in that bed, and I started to get all anxious and jittery again. And I remember asking that aide that was working that night, I was like, hey, can you move my shoulders this way? Bring them back. Put a pillow under my arm. Take it out. Put it under my legs. Bring it this way. Bring it that way. Everyone was like, Aaron, please calm down. Everybody, I can't get comfortable. I can't get comfortable. I'm starting to get hot. I'm just not comfortable right now at all. Unfortunately, because they went on to lose that night, and I remember I said, let me just go to sleep and get some rest. Wake up tomorrow's another day. I went to bed and say an hour and a half passed by, and I wake up and I'm now on a stretcher. When I opened my eyes, my vision was completely blurred. I couldn't see anything. And I feel if somebody smacked me in my face, like hit me saying, Eric, wake up. But it didn't sound like a male or a female. It kind of sounded like a demon, like, Eric, wake up. And I said, hit me again. And it was my mom. She smacked me right across my face again. And she said I let out this growl to go after her. And I didn't know who she was, what was going on. So she ran out of the room to get the nurse, and she said, my son doesn't even recognize me right now. We have to do something. We have to get him out of here. Come to find out, I had 105.5 degree fever, and I was 0.5 degrees away from frying my brain and becoming brain dead for the rest of my life if they couldn't figure out what was causing this fever and couldn't get my temperature down. So now they're rushing me out of the hospital to St. Barnabas. And I remember my mom had to call my coach down in Tampa, and she said, they don't know if Eric is going to make it through the night. He's spiked a fever, they don't know what's causing it, and now they're rushing him out of the hospital. I remember weeks later, my coach told me when they landed back here around 2, 3 a.m. in the morning in North New Jersey, they were scared to turn their cell phones on because they didn't know what type of news that they were going to land to. I remember he said he got on the plane, he said a prayer, and he turned off his phone. And when they landed, they were kind of nervous to turn it back on because they didn't know if I was going to make it through the night. But thank God I did. I remember they said that they landed, and my coach and my athletic director came right over to the hospital. When I got to St. Barnabas, I was completely delirious. I didn't know where I was or what was going on and whatnot. So I wake up, and the first two people I saw were my sister at the end of the bed and my athletic director that came over from the airport. And I remember waking up and I was like, hey, Nicole, how you doing? And she turned back and she looks at me. She goes, Eric, I'm doing great. And I kid you not, the next, she said, how you doing? I said, I feel great. The next words I said to her, I'm like, are we going to IHOP today? And she's like, no, Eric, we're not going to IHOP. I don't know what you're talking about. And she goes, and I'm like, well, why not? I want some pancakes. Can we go to IHOP? She goes, Eric, do you realize you can't eat food or whatever? I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't eat food. Like, let's go get some IHOP. And she kind of got, I guess, mad at me. She goes, Eric, we can't go to IHOP. So I started to get frustrated. I threw my head back in the pillow. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk to blow off the steam. Tried to get up out of bed. Of course, I couldn't move. So I said, Nicole, get off of me. I want to go for a walk. She goes, Eric, you can't go for a walk. I'm like, Nicole, get off. I'm going for a walk. And I remember she started to get terrified. She like stood up. And my athletic director now, he's looking at me with his eyes bulging out of his head. And I started to get a little bit nervous then, and I didn't know what was going on. And I remember throwing my head back down on the pillow, just trying to fall asleep, but I actually blacked out. Another hour went by. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up. I'm in the hospital, now in the hospital room in the ICU. Because I was in the emergency room before, but now I'm in the ICU. And all of a sudden I see my mom and my sister leaning on the couch together, knocked out. And I look in front of me, and it's my head coach, and he's knocked out with a spilled cup of coffee on the ground. I didn't want to bother anybody because it's about 4:30 in the morning, and I remember just watching, ESPN was on the TV, so I was just watching what was on ESPN and just checking on my surroundings. But the story I'm about to tell you right now changed my life forever. As I'm laying in that bed, all of a sudden it starts to get real loud in the hallway. So I'm hearing all this commotion. So I'm looking in the hallway, and all of a sudden you see this girl get rushed by on the stretcher. And right after that, you see mom, dad, aunts, and uncles come in. But right after them was a bunch of kids, about 15, 16 years old, coming in the room. Say another, I guess about maybe 20 minutes goes by, I can overhear the nurses talking outside of my room, because the nurses station was right outside of my room. That girl had a cancerous tumor on her brain, and it started to bleed out So they were rushing her in to do emergency surgery. Say an hour went by, it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's still knocked down over there. I'm still watching TV, and it starts to get real loud in the hallway again. But this time louder than it was before. I look out into that hallway again, and all of a sudden you see all these faces, hysterical, crying. Everyone's crying their eyes out. And this, and I'm like, wow, I wonder what happened. This obviously doesn't look good, and everyone passed by my room, hysterically crying. Come to find out, after everything settled down again, I can overhear the nurses talking, and they said, that girl didn't make it through the night. She died on the operating table. And I said, right then and there, whatever I need to do, I'm going to do so I can get out of here and get back to Kessel, because I don't ever have to want to have my family, my friends, or whoever leave this hospital the way I saw those kids leave that hospital, that family leave the hospital that day. And I remember just started praying right then and there for them and myself. 5 days later, I was back at Kessler after they found out I had some infection that was causing my fever, and they gave me medicine that got my fever to go down. I get back to Kessler, but now my story had been in the newspaper a little bit and on TV and stuff. So when I got to Kessler, they kind of gave me like this celebrity treatment. I never had any celebrity treatment before in my life, but I remember getting to the gym, and I would pull up to the door to go into the gym, and everyone inside would be working out, going through the motions, doing what they were doing. Next thing you know, as soon as I came in there, it was like their record stopped playing. Everyone turned their head at the door like, when I came in the room and just started to stare at me, like I was about to come in there doing backflips or something. It was real awkward. So finally, I would just roll to the back of the gym, and everyone would just stay there looking at me. Not saying not one word, just look at me. So I got to my therapist, and then turned their head and go back to doing what they were doing. This went on for 2 weeks, and then finally, someone had the courage to come up to me, and his name was Jermaine. Jermaine came rolling up to me one day. He goes, "E, what's going on? I know who you are and everything." And I said, "What's going on? What's your name?" He goes, "My name's Jermaine." Blah, blah, blah. We hit it off right away. I was 20 at the time. He was 22. It was perfect. Someone around my age going through a similar situation I'm going through. Somebody can connect with. Perfect. When I was at Kessler, I'm not going to lie, Rutgers, they took care of me. They had my flat screen TV brought up to my room. They had my Xbox hooked up to it, and they even had a satellite dish installed on top of the building so I could get all the cable channels. So let's just say after therapy was over, my room was the hangout room. So Jermaine had his upper body. He would wheel himself down to my room, and we'd be sitting there, and he'd be playing video games, and I'm talking junk to him, telling him how bad he is. He's lucky my hands aren't working right now. And became part of my family. My grandma was cooking collard greens and stuff for him on the weekends, and it was really cool to have somebody there. My teammates, my friends, they were all starting to meet Jermaine. But he knew everything about me, and I finally realized, I'm like, I know nothing about his story, about him. I never had the courage to ask him because I didn't know how to. I was new to being in a wheelchair. I didn't know how to ask somebody what happened to you, how you became in a wheelchair. And the best decision I made was just to ask them, just because someone's in a chair doesn't mean that they're not human. I had to learn that though, because I went from being able-bodied to somebody who has a disability. And I didn't know how, at first, how to react to something like that. But I learned, because in certain situations in life, we have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You used to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, but you're comfortable in them. That's when some of the greatest things happen. And he told me his story, and honestly, it's one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. So one day he was actually walking and started to get real fatigued in his legs, and he had to always sit down and take a break. Said a week went by after he started to feel like that, and he started to lose control of his bowels and his bladder, going to the bathroom by himself. So I went to the doctor. The doctor gave him medicine for his bowels and bladder. Said that they were weak, that he really couldn't control them, so they were giving him medicine for that. And he also told him that Jermaine needed to either lose weight or start lifting weights more because he couldn't support his body weight. And he should have known that was a red flag right there, because he was a little bit overweight. He was probably about 5'8", 200 plus pounds. Not much, but you can support your body weight at that size. A month went by. He actually worked at Newark Airport. And he said he sat down to eat lunch one day, and he never got back up. They took Jermaine in to do finally the MRIs and the CAT scan, and come to find out he had a cancerous tumor growing on the lower part of his spinal cord, which was cutting off all the the signals to his lower extremities, which was causing his paralysis. They said that the tumor had grown to a size where it was inoperable unless they want to completely sever his spinal cord and cut his spinal cord and be paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. So Jermaine, I remember he was going through this chemo and radiation, and some days he'd be with it and some days he'd be with, out of it. But I realized, I'm like, this guy doesn't really have anybody here supporting him. Like, I got my family, my friends, everyone's here with me. Jermaine really doesn't have anybody here. And I remember in our 5 months that we stayed at Kessler, I met his mom twice and his dad one time. So finally, our 5-month stay was up, and I moved down to Jackson, New Jersey for a little bit with my aunt until it was time for me to move back up to Woodbridge, where I was living. So I took a 2-week break off of therapy. Jermaine was in the hospital when I left. He was to go to, like I said, the chemo and radiation. So I didn't really get to say goodbye to him. So then I took a 2-week break, and I came back to Kessler to do my rehab for outpatient. But it was a totally different gym with all these new therapists, totally different part of the whole area. So I go in there, and the first person I saw was Jermaine. He was in the wheelchair clinic, getting fitted for his permanent chair. So I get all excited. I roll over to Jermaine, I'm like, Jermaine, what up, man? I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye. You were in the hospital when I left. And Jermaine, he turns and he looks at me with the blankest stare in the world, and he said, I don't know who you are, man. When I said that, I said, wow, obviously things have taken a turn for the worse because he doesn't remember me, he doesn't know what's going on, and obviously the cancer has spread. So I went over and I did my evaluation that day. It was on a Friday, got my eval done, and Jermaine left a little bit before I did to go back upstairs. So I said, maybe when I come back on Monday, things will be better, he'll be with it and things of that nature. So when I came back on Monday, I rolled over to the wheelchair clinic right away and I checked in with them. I said, did Jermaine ever get fitted for that permanent chair? They said, yeah, he got his permanent chair, but he died over the weekend, he passed away. And I remember I said to myself right then and there, you know what? In life, we gotta be appreciative for the things that we do have. Don't focus on the things that you don't have. And if it's something that you really want, then you just work your butt off to get it. Because I know Jermaine would do anything to be able to take care of himself. He didn't have that support system. He didn't have the people around him. He didn't have anybody there guiding him. And sometimes it's when you're in those lonely, dark moments where if you can just have a conversation. I know our 5 months together there, that was probably one of the best moments of his life because the way that we bonded, the way that I saw him laugh, the way that he joked around and felt just comfortable around everybody. I know those were special moments for him and they were special moments for myself because we all in life, we're gonna have some type of adversity that we're going to have to deal with. Whether you're 5 years old or 65 years old, how you handle it ultimately is going to define you. And he handled it the best way that he could by the guidance that he had. And, he inspired me to want to help and give back. And it's the reason why I started my foundation, Team LeGrand and the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And I'm sure most everyone in here knows who Christopher Reeve was, the original Superman on TV. So, funny story, when I first got hurt, they immediately reached out to me for guidance and support and things of that nature. And finally, after 2 years of people asking me, how can we help, I decided I wanted to make a foundation. So I talked to my mom and the Christopher and Dana Reeve people having to reach out again about it. And I said to my mom, I said, Mom, who's Christopher and Dana Reeve? And she looks at me, she goes, are you kidding? You don't know the original Superman? I said, Mom, I was born in 1990. I'm sorry, I don't know who the Superman was back in the 70s and the 80s. From there, I did my research and we were able to form a foundation, Team LeGrand Christopher Dana Reeve Foundation. And in December 2017, we were able to cross the $1 million mark to raise money for paralysis. And that's why it's more about the giving back and helping other people, because I know someone like Jermaine, if we had a cure for paralysis, his life would be totally different. He would be able to live a life that he loved. Another person that I met while I was there, her name was Ingrid. Ingrid got into a car accident. She didn't have a seatbelt on, and her head went through the windshield. She should have stayed there, but they always tell you to stay there when you don't move. She was able to finagle her way out, her head out of the windshield, and she said she opened the door to get out the car, and she turned her head the wrong way and she broke her neck right there because her head wasn't stable. She became paralyzed. Ingrid comes from an unfortunate situation where her mom is from Puerto Rico. They live in a 1-bedroom apartment. in Jersey City with 7 other people living in there. And she said the elevator breaks for months upon time. She's been stuck in that building for 3 months at a time. And when I looked at that situation, I said to myself, what do I have to complain about? I really have nothing to complain about. I can't lift up my hand and shake your hand right now. But I have a great family, I have great friends, I have an amazing support system. Meanwhile, other people are out there suffering. It makes you look at yourself and you say, I'm going to do the best that I can to help other people. And that's why I want to challenge you guys to be the best that you can be to help other people that are in less fortunate situations. There's a definition I live my life by that was embedded in our head at Rutgers, and it's the definition of success. And it's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. I'll say it one more time. It's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. If you know you gave it your all and whatever it was, if it was at work on a project or helping out another family, if you know you did your best at it, you should be able to put your head down at night and say, you know what? I gave it my all. There was nothing left on the table I could give. I helped that person out because I know I bettered their situation. You should feel good about yourself because helping other people makes you feel way better than trying to put somebody down. And that's how I live my life each and every day because I firmly believe that I was put here for a reason to do bigger things than just a game of football and help and mentor and lead other people into a better situation for themselves. And I'm sure that's exactly what you guys do each and every day. I don't know what you guys see on a daily basis. I don't, but I know what I do see, and it's all about helping because we all will see people in unfortunate situations. But do we turn our shoulder and walk away from them? Or do we make that conscientious effort to just help them out and have that conversation and better somebody else's life? Believe me, it's truly a great feeling. And I truly knew that one day I woke up back to MetLife Stadium and lay back down on that 25-yard line and run, walk, crawl, whatever I can do. I'm going to finish that last play, and it's going to be a big party in New Jersey when it happens. So I hope you guys will all be there, and thank you so much for letting me share my story.
LeGrand is an inspiration to all of us. He's agreed to answer any questions that any of you might have, so please, if you have a question, just raise your hand.
You can ask me anything if you want. Don't be shy, and I'll definitely answer anything.
Let's see. When did you start being able to breathe on your own?
So I was able to breathe on my own actually 5 weeks after my injury. It started off one night when I just got to Kessler, and I remember I said I was trying to go to bed. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, but the breathing machine was making this loud. It was just like, I'm like, I can't sleep with this. I'm like, I can't do it. I remember I asked my respiratory therapist that night. I'm like, can you take me off this ventilator so I can, try to fall asleep? And she was like, if I take you off, I'm probably going to have to put you back on. I'm like 1 minute later. I said, perfect, give me that 1 minute to fall asleep. And she took me off, and an hour and a half later, I was still breathing on my own. And they said, oh, maybe we can start trying to wean you off of this. And a week and a half later, I was weaned off the ventilator. I was able to breathe on my own. So 5 weeks after my injury, after the doctors told me I'll be on that for the rest of my life, that was nothing but God's work right there, and my sheer determination and frustration and trying to be able to go to sleep at night. So I was able to breathe on my own 5 weeks after my injury.
What's your rehabilitation schedule like nowadays?
So now I go to outpatient therapy still Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3 o'clock, doing all different things. We're either working on a mat on my sitting or standing in a standing frame so I can keep the bone density in my legs. And a lot of people don't know with spinal cord injuries, there's so many different secondary complications that come with it. It's not like, no, he's paralyzed, he just can't move. No, there's a whole bunch of things. Muscle atrophy, being able to breathe and keep your lungs strong. My diaphragm was obviously, partially paralyzed at the time, but there's just so many different things that go into it. And just trying to stay healthy and strong is the main part. So when that cure does come, my body is ready for it. So walking on that treadmill where people walk my legs, I did over 500 sessions of that. That was the best therapy I've ever had. And I've been at this grind for 9 years now, but it's keeping me strong and keeping me healthy. So Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3 o'clock at Kessler. Yeah, absolutely. When you're dealing with, people that are in, has a disability, sometimes their family members, don't know how to react. My mom, it definitely turned our world upside down, through the power of prayer, just people rallying around and having a positive attitude. My mom, my family, we knew everything was going to be okay, that we can handle it. The advice that I would give to you, as I said earlier, was just being able to have a conversation to put people at ease. Don't just have a conversation where you're throwing this, and this at them, and they're just like, whoa, so overwhelmed. Show them that you actually care, show them that you're passionate, and that you are there to help them and to guide them. And you'll see a whole different side of someone open up to you, because I've seen that when I've been on calls with people that just got injured, and they're like, I don't know what we're gonna do, my life is over, this and that. Like, listen, life still goes on. You can get through this. If you make a genuine, conscientious effort to fight through this, there are better days, and you've, like I said, put people at ease. Know that you may not be going through the same thing that they're going through, but you understand it and you're willing to help them. I think that's the best way to do it genuinely. And I always say, don't do it for the paycheck, do it for the patient.
So back in 2014, I worked at Microsoft, Ceramics. I met you there.
Yes, I remember coming to the wall up there, yes.
Yeah. But then today I noticed that you cut your hair. Why?
So I did that, so you saw the video, I had been dreadlocks for 11 years, and this is saying this wheelchair, they got caught in the back of my back too many times, and I even tried to throw them up in the bed, it was just too much, so I had to make a change, and I said, you don't like to cut? No, come on, I think I'm fresh with this thing. No, but I had been dreads for 11 years, and sitting in this chair, I always get them caught in the back of it. I'm like, they gotta go. They got too long.
Excuse me, I've heard so many wonderful things about the support that your mother gave. Did she go out and support other mothers or families, or did she speak in engagements?
Yes, so my mom is, she definitely gets people reach out, because most of the time I talk to the patient that's going through the injury and dealing with that. My mom, she talks to the parents. My mom talks to her how she was able to overcome the things that she had overcome, seeing her son, who's this big football star, to now, in a wheelchair, having to be taken care of by other people and having to, rely on other people too, and gaining that trust, because in the beginning, it wasn't easy for us. I would call my mom for everything, and she wanted to do everything until she realized she was burning herself out. So yes, my mom does have those conversations with other people to try to help them and guide them through that process, especially after their injury, because your world, like I said, gets flipped and turned upside down, and sometimes you don't know where to look to or where to go.
I definitely want to commend you and your mom as well. I know it's rough, but someone like most people, we do this on a daily basis. And sometimes it gets very routinely, or get very frustrating when you try to help people. It's definitely good to see that, like you said, that other people are going through so much worse and still able to go through and still find that light, which is sometimes kind of hard. Like I definitely say, understanding you have to support your mom and everybody else, but definitely just commend yourself, because it still takes, I can believe and empathize with how much it took for you to be able to keep that positive attitude. I understand it's hard.
Absolutely, like you said, no matter what, no matter how bad your situation may be, there's always someone that has it worse than you, and I'm reminded by that when I go up to therapy at Kessler. people don't get to do the things that I get to do. And I don't take those for granted because I know so many people, it's crazy to say, would love to be in my situation up here sitting here talking to you. So you never take those moments for granted where you get to do great things and it helps me get through the day.
Eric, what's your goal for like the next 5 to 10 years? What are you aiming towards now?
Well, I do motivational speaking, sports broadcasting. I just launched my clothing line, and I don't know if you can see the shirt, but it says role model. And I wanted to make it unique and different to me. I don't want it to be R-O-L-E. It says R-O-L-L, and the O is the handicap sign. So I wanted to represent me as an inspiration and as also as a role model. So I'm trying to build that out, and also working in therapy, working with the research to see what we have, what we can put the money to that we are raising, and just helping other people. But I know one day I'll be able to get out of this chair. I can't say if that'll be 5, 10, 20 years, but it's going to keep on working and growing like that. So that's why I pray for each and every night. Yeah. That's a great question. How do I take care of myself? And believe me, I know the work is work and play is play. I love to travel. I go to Miami. I go to Vegas. I go to California. I make sure I put time in there where I take care of myself. When people do ask me like, what do you do like during the daily grind or the daily week when you don't have those types of trips planned for you? And thank God I have the technology where I have a phone where I can still connect with my friends, but each night, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a night caller, I stay up late, and I will find time to catch up on TV. I never was a big TV guy before my injury, but that's the little thing I make sure I do each and every night. I now find shows that I enjoy, and I will take an hour or two at a time at night, and I'll just sit there and put everything aside, and I'll watch a TV show, and I'll get into it, and I'm into a bunch of them now. Now I'm a big TV guy, so I make sure I find time each and every night to just relax, decompress from the day and watch a TV show.
You talked about praying a lot. Does religion play a role in your life?
Yeah, I would definitely say my relationship with God has definitely gotten closer since my injury, and I just know that everything happens for a reason and it's all for a purpose, and just give all the praise and glory to Him for being able to do what I do each and every day. And I am always praying for more. Don't be afraid to ask for more. I'm not gonna lie, I should probably go to church more, but I do. Like I said, keep my humble mind and know that without Him, there would be me. So I'm always thankful to God and everything that has happened for me. So I know it's from a higher purpose.
I know at one point you mentioned that the doctors said you would never be able to eat salads or feed yourself. And then you mentioned that your grandmother was making collard greens, was sending it up to you. So at what point did that prognosis change?
Well, it actually changed. It was, I had to pass the swallowing test. So I had to pass one when I was in the hospital. And I remember I passed it perfectly. And then when I got to Kessler, they made me redo it again, and I passed it just fine. They saw that it wasn't going down to my lungs, it was going into my stomach. And that Thanksgiving, I got hurt on October 16th. That Thanksgiving, I was able to eat a full solid meal with my family. So that was very nice to see a month and a half after they told me I'll never eat solid foods again. I had this feeding tube in my stomach. It was able to come out, and you see, I'm eating plenty of solid foods now. Okay.
I was like a child that was in social services a lot as a kid, and you spoke a lot about people over the paycheck. And I know for me, like the private made a difference with social workers and like that, but I wonder what the difference was for you and how you could tell if somebody was doing this for a paycheck. I know a lot of the times, just line of work, it's our job to show that you care, so somebody will think that it's a thought. So how do you tell them?
Well, the biggest thing is one of my nurses and my aides. I've had, well, luckily I have one nurse now since September 2011 was my consistent nurse, but I've been through so many different aides, and you know the ones that are there for the paycheck, you know the ones that actually genuinely care for you, and the ones that aren't there try to, you try to weed them out. I don't have too many conversations with those, but the ones that are there that genuinely care, try to, open up myself more to them and be around them more, because you know that it's coming from what they're going through, what they're trying to help you. It's just coming from their heart. And that's what you said you deal with the patients. Make sure you show that it's coming from your heart, that you've been there, you know what they're going through, you're trying to help them out. I'm here for you. It's just like, I'm not just here just because I'm here to help you. And sometimes you're going to get some people that take to it, and sometimes you're not. Everyone has different attitudes, but if you generally keep your attitude the same way, whether you're dealing with somebody that has a good attitude or a bad attitude, like most of the time, you'll see that light at the end of the tunnel. You'll come out of it a better person. You also help a lot of people out too. Yeah, I do that a lot. I go around to middle schools, high schools, even sometimes elementary schools, and share my story with them, because it's all about trying to, help the youth. And if I just give them some perspective on where I came from and what I went through, where I am today, usually it's very eye-opening for them and inspires them to say, if he can do this, he can graduate college, he can go on and start a career for himself, and he can do this, that, and the kid even write his name on a piece of paper. Why can't I do it as well? I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been very
At this time, I also think it would be appropriate for us to thank Eric's mother, Karen LeGrand,